Hi guys, this is Frankie from Frankie Tech, and I wanted to do something very different today. This is a new series that I'm going to start pretty soon, but I just want to get your guys' take on it. This is what I'd like to call Frankie's Retro Reviews, and the reason why it's retro is because we're looking at right here, this is a very old phone. That's right guys, this is the original Moto X from 2013. And if you've checked out kind of my channel, if you actually go to like the earlier parts of my channel, back in 2015, I was a huge Motorola supporter. In fact, like beyond just Nexus phones, Motorola was my top manufacturer of choice. It really was just something that I loved using, and all the Moto phones that were coming out at the time I felt were just like so cool, and they're probably the most kind of advanced phones of that era. And I actually started doing Frankie Tech on reviews of Moto phones, including the Nexus 6 when that came out in, I want to say 2014, and comparing it here with this Moto X 2013. If you guys remember, this is the first phone that was released actually with the partnership of Google, because Google actually owned Motorola before they actually then sold it to Lenovo. So Motorola was actually a very interesting company, and it was like, this was the first phone to really implement that stock Android experience in its phone. And you know, the other interesting part about this phone, if you guys remember, was that it actually had all those Moto mods. It's not Moto mods, all those different mods you could do to the kind of styling of the phone. This was the standard kind of black color, but in the States at least, you could actually get different colors of phones and kind of different styles, different shells they call them, and you could have a white front with different colors. I always wanted to get with my favorite colors green and yellow. I always wanted to get like a green yellow kind of version of this phone. I never was able to do it, but I managed to kind of keep a hold of this original Moto X from 2013 there, and instead this one's got this kind of Kevlar kind of look on the back, got the little Moto dimple. And this phone was rocking a 4.7 inch screen, so pretty small by this era. But if you look at it there, I mean, that chin is not that is not that big for considering this is a 5-year-old phone. Definitely the top chin there is really really big. But design-wise, I always loved this original Moto X, and I actually carried it around as my daily driver 5 years ago. In terms of display, this was also one of the earliest phones I used, which had the AMOLED, just an AMOLED panel here. And in terms of the actual kind of experience with it, it definitely wasn't kind of to the level of some of the AMOLED panels you see in this day and age, but it still did the job overall, and I definitely loved the punchy colors. You can see even to this day, the 720p inch screen, it still does the job. Now, talking about performance, this had a really old, I mean, this chip is like ancient by by this day and age. I want to say it was the Snapdragon S4, if I remember clearly, and it was kind of based on this kind of Snapdragon 600 series. It was one of those early 600 series chips, but the S4 Pro was a very kind of unique chip at the time. It kind of was bridging the gap between the kind of older Snapdragon era and then now the modern era that we have with the 600s and the 800 series. So this phone did not have really a modern chip in it. It wasn't only until the Moto X 2nd gen where you actually did get that Snapdragon 801 in that phone, and that was an awesome phone. I must say that one's definitely stood the test of time a bit more than this one. But you know, in terms of general performance to this day, I love just turning this phone on sometimes and seeing how it runs. Clearly we have moved on from those days, but it's amazing that this phone you know, actually still works. Amazing that the battery life is still kind of working there. And you want to look at about the phone here, we're running Android 5.1. That's the last system update for the Moto X 2013. That was Lollipop, and it's pretty much there, and it stayed there forever. So overall, guys, this phone, you know, in terms of performance, wasn't great. In terms of audio, I don't think it was also that great, and I'm trying to see if I even have Spotify to open here. I don't even know if it will open. Let's play one of the songs that I've been playing more recently of this phone here. There you go. And the speaker, honestly, doesn't sound that bad, to be honest with you. There in the back, though, you can definitely cover it up pretty easily if you're not careful, so that was pretty good. In terms of camera, I can definitely tell you, and let's kind of do that little swipe there for the camera. Always love that setting, and you can see kind of here. Let's just throw in one of the phones there. You can see it was all one button. I remember that. And the one thing I also remember about this phone and its camera was that it was absolute 10 megapixels of just unbelievable garbage. It was a terrible camera. It was not a good camera, even for its day. So this phone, I mean, I don't think a VGA shooter would be much better at this point than what this camera had. Definitely was the lowest point of this phone at the time, and you can see the shutter there, just color-wise and kind of focus-wise. Really poor, man. I think even the iPhone 4 or the 4S could probably shoot a better camera shot than this phone could in 2013. So wasn't winning anything in the camera department. But overall, I mean, this phone just definitely harkens back to a different era in smartphones, and it's why kind of I wanted to check it out and see see how it was performing and everything. Overall, still doing pretty well. But let me know, guys, if this is something you were interested in, if you wanted to see kind of some other retro phone reviews. And I guess my question would be, what retro phones, what kind of old phones would you want me to revisit? And we're not talking about last year, 2 years ago phones. I'm talking about like 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I have a lot of old phones actually in my collection, and it'd be fun to kind of do another one of these. But obviously only if you guys are interested. But either way, definitely wanted to just share a bit of my kind of experience from the old days with this right here, the Moto X 2013. So hit me up in the comments, guys, what kind of retro phones, if any, you would ever want to see on this channel. And definitely like this video if you liked it, and if you didn't, definitely show that as well. If you love my content, appreciate it, definitely subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's it for now. So this is Frankie Tech signing off. Y'all have a good day.